Yo, Coach Green back again with another episode of Free Game. I guess that's what I'm going to be calling it. Last week we looked at 3 high CNS days, high intensity days. This week we'll look at some low CNS days and talk about exactly what that means, what it's for, why you should incorporate it. Here we go. All right, so as I said last week, I operate and program all of my training, strength and conditioning, athletic performance based off of the high-low system. High being high CNS, high intensity, low being low CNS, low intensity. There is no middle intensity work in there simply because a mid-intensity would essentially mitigate any recovery that's needed after the high day to prepare for the next high day. Also, the mid-intensity work isn't high enough where you're actually getting any sort of performance benefit from it. So it's essentially a waste of time. So it's just high day followed by low day. The low day also used for recovery, mobility work, general fitness, aerobic based type things. So we do that. In between the 2 high days, you want to have at least 48 hours of recovery. So we can plug the low intensity day right in the middle at 24 hours roughly, depending on how many days a week you're training, and then go from there. So today, I'll just be doing some mobility work and a medicine ball interval, get my heart rate up, get a little fitness in there, and get up out of here. So last note before we get started, the best reason to utilize, if you haven't, or at least think about utilizing the high-low system for your athletic performance or sport needs, is because we keep in mind that we're training for athleticism and we're training for sport needs. So this isn't just some general fitness program where we're just trying to get in shape. We're actually trying to perform better at a very specific thing, whether it be football, basketball, volleyball, track and field, whatever it may be. There are specific requirements that those sports and positions within those sports require. So we have to look at those needs to train those as a primary high CNS day. The sport itself or competition, that's the highest intensity thing you're going to do as an athlete, because that's what you're training for, right? You play the sport, whether you're training or not, the sport is going to be played. That's the highest thing you're going to be able to do. Everything underneath that, whether it be training, practice, conditioning, those things fall underneath the highest activity, right? So we have to always keep in mind what the highest activity is, what we're training for, and how we're going to recover from it, right? You have your high CNS, that's the activity. Your low CNS, that's the recovery. It has to be a balance of high and low. Anything in between is taking away from either of the two. Okay, last thing for real this time. To give you a general idea of how I look at exercise selection for high intensity, low intensity, I utilize this chart that shows how much motor unit recruitment is being utilized for specific exercises that most people use for athletic performance. So if we look at the far left side, we can see maximal sprinting is at anywhere from 95, 90 to 100% of motor unit recruitment. Clean and jerks, snatches, those type of things, all the explosive movements are also near that, but maximal sprinting is at the top of the chart. If we look at the far right side, we can see accessory exercise like bicep curls, tricep extensions, anything where it's pretty much a single joint and a couple of muscles being utilized. Those are on the lower intensity side. So sometimes I do incorporate upper body accessory work into the training on the low intensity days, especially because, again, low motor unit recruitment and they're not cutting into really anything else. But again, that mid-range, those would be dependent upon phases of training, which we can talk about later, because I did say that we don't utilize any middle intensity work. Obviously, we can still throw those in on a higher intensity day, higher intensity day at the end because it is accessory work. So we're still going speed, power, strength in that order. But to talk about that later as when it would be used as a primary thing, we'll look at that at another time. Workout. That is a low CNS day. Did some extensive things, and that's just another term or another reference we can use for the high-low, high days, high intensity, intensive, low days, low intensity, extensive, or extended, which is essentially what it is, just extended reps, extended work time, things of that nature. But that's all it is for today. It's a little medicine ball interval, some mobility work. Thursday, be back another low intensity day. We'll see what that looks like. Until then.